But yeah, just in a couple seconds. Then we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes, which is going to be picture showing. Little show and tell, as it were. Alright. I hope you're ready, Viper, to be amazed by some of these pictures. All right. Why? What? What? What happened to my pictures? Hold on. Hold on. It's scuffing out. Okay. Hold on. Is that full screen? There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. Pictures. Okay. So, starting off, Evo Japan. Music's a little quiet. 1 second. There we go. I turned it up slightly. So, Evo Japan. This is gonna be the first part of the trip, of course. I didn't do amazingly. Let me actually go find my records. So I went 1 and 2 in Strive, and then I think 2 and 2 in Grand Blue. Outperformed my seeds, but I wanted to do a lot better, of course. Day 2 was amazing. I mean, outside of, you know, there's all those controversies that happen. You probably saw on Twitter. Venue was hot. Very, very, very hot. So it really did feel like a Texas summer temperature kind of thing. So here we go. So I was seated 248th, you know, placed 193rd, went 2 and 2. Looking at this bracket, need to get back to here. Do it this way. So we'll go here. So first round was a DQ, which I probably would have won anyway. Then I faced RQ and lost 3-0. That was expected. Like, that's RQ. It's one of the best players in the world. Got sent out of losers. Faced CTG Garosiabu. Beat 3-1. This was the Narmaya mirror. Yeah, I dodged the heat wave. And then had to face Gyleon. And Gyleon, I destroyed the Gran and then just got Beatrix out to death. That's how that went. As for Strive, I don't care. Strive went horribly and I don't play that game anymore. Well, not. Greatest thing though is I met up with some of the European homies. I met up with Tuho Juho, Pixie, Pixelated Arc, Default, and Necron. And we had fun. Like, they let me basically adopt myself into their group. And on that Saturday, after day 2, so after we watched top 8, we went to Nikkei Ramen because Fusely, over in EU, one of the TOs, really wanted some Nikkei stuff. That ramen was pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. Hold on, let me get y'all a picture of it real quick. Because, so this is the picture that I sent to Fusely, and now that there's this joke that I'm the VTuber that has harassed him with the ramen because it was a group thing, but he'd never heard of me until that night. So legitimately was kind of like just harassing him. It was this random VTuber messaged. Oh my gosh, that is huge. Transform. Let's fit this to screen. Okay, there we go. So this is what the ramen looked like that I got. So you can see some of the some of the merch and stuff. Yep, had a nice little beer with it, and this was Parmesan cheese on top of it. It was really good. The beer was good. That is actual beer. It was great. Nice cold beer with some ramen after a long day. That hit. But yeah, that was the ramen. And of course, the Girls Don't Play Fighting Games, that booth, they had a giant little mural on the floor, which was very pretty, very beautiful. I love these kinds of things. That ended off Evo Japan. Now, on that Sunday, instead of doing day 3 stuff, I went down to Nagoya for the Tokai Project stamp rally, where you paid 4,000 yen, which is like $30, like $30 somewhere in there. And you just rode the trains in Nagoya for like hours collecting these stamps. And it took me like a while, longer than I'd like to admit, to get this started, because it, of course, in Nagoya, very little English whatsoever. The site was that stupid Japanese site design trend where everything's in images, so you can't translate it easily. But every time like you went to one of the stations, you needed to look around for a stand of the specific UMA that you were getting the stamp of, and they had this nice little life-size stand. It was great. And completed it, got the little clear file. Took the whole day on Sunday because obviously I was taking wrong trains and stuff. Very little English out there. But that ended in Nagoya, and then went back up to Tokyo, spent the night, came back down, and then went down to Kobe the very next day. On this first day, like this hotel view, look at it. It was gorgeous. Like just looking out the hotel window was amazing. I was on like the 26th floor, I think it was. The 26th floor, had great views all the time. Got to see Mount Fuji on the way down on the Shinkansen. Like every single time I was somehow lucked myself into being on the right side of the train. And then of course, I had to get one of the Monaka ice creams. Those were great. And then Stroh Zeros. Those, for how cheap they were, pretty good. Pretty effective too, because 9% ABV, that's a lot. Especially for something that doesn't taste like it's 9 ABV. So that was day 1, was just going there relaxing. Then day 2, when I was down in Kobe, I went down to Himeji. And I went to the castle. And then I tell you, man, I'm so glad I did this. Like, this was like just an entire whim. This is my only reason for going down to Kobe, was to have like a little bit of a like base point so I could go to this castle in particular. And walking up to it from the station, like it's just a straight walk. There's like 15 minutes that you're just walking straight as you see the castle just come closer and closer and closer to you. When you get into it, it's like it get the keep, which is this big center place, just kept getting closer and closer. And then there's so many times that you get to just overlook and you get to see like the entire city around you. And you could it really does feel like you know why they put this castle here. It's really easily defendable. And then of course inside of it, there's a little shrine. At least I think that's a shrine that was inside. That there were people who did pray at it. I was not gonna do any of that. I was not confident in that you were supposed to. There were employees there who never stopped anyone doing anything, but I wasn't confident, so I didn't do anything. Then they had this little photo op. I have a secondary photo with just me there. Like they had a nice little phone stand. They had this too at the flower gardens, where you could set your phone, put the timer on, and then take a picture with no one. And then the last thing, there was this like random pit of doom. There was like no signage or anything other than telling you to be careful, but it was just this grated covered hole that had nothing. Like you could not see to the bottom. So that's why it's the pit of doom, right? And then the final thing they did is they had a little bundle, which for like, I think it was like 150 yen more. So basically $1. You could also go to their gardens that they maintain and upkeep. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't do this. Like it's I think, no, it might have actually only been like 50 yen more. It's like very, very tiny additional price. And they had like 11 or so zones of like different types of ponds and garden types. This nice little pretty creek. They had a very gorgeous pond. There were a bunch of koi in these as well. And plenty of different types. Like there was a little mini bamboo forest too that had different types of bamboo. Like overall, it's just very well maintained. And the final thing I did down in Kobe was the Nunobiki Herb Gardens. And this is the only time I used my actual camera. Everything else is my phone. And there are plenty of places not only going up the lifts, but also at the top. Like you get to just see a huge view of Kobe. There's this dam that was gorgeous as well, just surrounded by so many trees. Like you just get to pass by it. And then of course at the top, they have the little gift shop. This thing was a little restaurant. It was 10 in the morning and I didn't want to get real food. But what they did have right here on this right side, they had a special honey beer and a honey, it was just honey ice cream at the top of this as well. That because they have so many flowers, they have a bunch of bees. So they make their own honey. I had beer and soft serve ice cream at 10 in the morning, or 10:30 it was by the time I got up there. Greatest decision of my life. Those were amazing. There's just so many pictures. This place was gorgeous. So the first part, like you go behind where they have that courtyard and they had a little rose garden. Not a lot of it was in bloom because it's like a late May thing that these flowers bloom, late May, early June. But for what was bloom, gorgeous. And then like starting to go down, get to see them a lot more flowers. And then they had this greenhouse type place. Like look at how gorgeous, all those flowers, all beautifully cultivated. And then of course, like there's just flowers galore. There are some herbs too that, you know, barely could understand because I had small little translations in English, not everything. We had like little swaths of blue. They had like a 4 seasons garden, which is this, where it has just like so much variety. And then there was just like this random statue. I couldn't get the picture I wanted because I didn't want to wait for the other tourists to move out and get the picture. But like, very obviously you're intended to take a picture close to this thing. There wasn't anything set up to let you do it like solo like there was in the greenhouse. But that was a little funny. And then towards the end, like this is where they had lavender ice cream because this is their lavender season. So they had like this lavender soft serve that you had at the bottom of these hills. This first one was like an entire recreation area. Like it didn't put in the picture, but like you can see it right here. They have hammocks that you can just lay at. Like they are intended fully for people to just lay and sunbathe, surrounded by all this beautiful nature. And it was honestly one of the highlights. This place is gorgeous. I wish I could have gone to the other flower park that was in Ashikaga. Hey Kaze, welcome on in. But maybe next time I go to Japan. And then finally, to round it all out, I went up and stayed in Akihabara for a few days. Saw Mahjong Soul Fate Stay Night collab, which ended by the time I saw this banner, which was unfortunate, but cool to see. There was this crepe place that was fairly near the hotel. And this was a custard caramel cheesecake crepe, which is great because I can't have fresh fruit. Like 90% of the crepes both places near the hotel had fruit in them, so I had to really like search for ones that didn't have fruit. And then in the Don Quixote, there was a Vocaloid section, and they had little statues of Ren, Len, Miku, Kaito, and Luca. So I took a little picture of the Luca statue. It was great. And then Big Draco here. I hope I said the last part right. Welcome and thanks for the follow. Well, moving on. The first of the collab cafes, I went to the Grand Blue one, the Grand Cypher. Actually, it's Grand Cypher Kitchen. Yeah, Tato's Utaite, not Vocaloid. Although she's kind of included in there because it's just gotten too out of hand to like realistically stop the association. Oh, I should probably check in, actually. Let me check in real quick. There we go. Okay, checked in. Hi, Bossu. I was not at Combo Breaker. I was not at Combo Breaker. This is my Japan trip. Oh, wait, no. Right, Viper. Tedo is Utao, not Utaite. She's Utao. But yeah, on to the Grand Cypher kitchen. I put cafe, whoops. I had this little 12 General, the Zodiac General's French toast, which was okay. The little cookie and the little half macaron were a lot better than the French toast itself. But this Lorraine meal, bro, this thing hit. It was karaage, onion rings, and French fries. And then the Lorraine and his bros is a little waffle. Like, it was like a Monaka piece. This slapped so hard, like unreasonably hard. And then of course I had this like, it was like a blackberry soda float that had a little picture of the Grand Cypher on it with a cherry on top. The cherry had a pit in it, which was weird. I'm not used to having cherries with pits. But that was great. I got a few cards too. And then finally, the Uma Musume, the Cinderella Grey Cafe. This peak way to end off the trip. So you might have seen my tweet about this, where I was like, it's a very, very unfortunate that the screen that was up here right above the meme and shop wall was playing one of like 5 different clips on repeat the whole time. It was the opening, the ending, and then 3 different clip collections of the show. Like that's all that was playing audio wise. That had to have gotten awful to deal with. But like the meme wall was great. The croquette meal, I could only have these 4. Like I could not order more without just not being able to order anything else. And then there was like this black sesame latte that it got kind of clipped off. That's really good. This soup was nice. I think it was a miso soup. Overall, very, very good. And then there's a bunch of different stands and pictures. Like here's Sakura Chiyono O. Got a bunch of merch from it. Spent like well over $100 at this cafe. And this also, this is more of not only the cafe, but there was also in Akihabara station this little Uma merch thing. You had to like sign up for a ticket in the early morning and then you get called back later. Got all of this merch combined from those 2 places all in one day. 2.0 is Senfi. Gotcha. And then the final thing. So there were some vending machines that had Dr. Pepper throughout Tokyo in both Odaiba and in Akihabara. But at Haneda Airport, right in front of where I was sitting at the terminal, they had bottled Dr. Pepper with this like vintage looking logo. I don't think Dr. Pepper's ever used this in the States. If they have, it's been decades since they've used it. I had to cop it and take a picture. But yeah, that is the Japan trip. Yeah, it probably was from the 50s, if anything. Oh, let me see. All right, Dr. Pepper 50s bottle. Let me see if I can pull this up on the side. No, like this is specific. I think it's specific to Japan. Because older ones just didn't have that art on it. Unless it's like 60s or 70s. It might be 70s. No, it's not even the 70s. I don't think it would be the 80s. I'm sure this art style was like dead by then. Yeah, this is like specific Japan. At the Dr. Pepper guy. Oh, please no. Please no, don't act the Dr. Pepper guy. I was tempted to try and bait the Dr. Pepper guy actually. But I didn't want to tempt fate like that.